and I'm rolling.
Okay. First question is probably the most obvious. When you have to go through so much red tape and jump through so many hoops, why are you growing it at all?
Well, I guess originally it was sort of curiosity. I didn't realize it was going to be as much red tape as there is. After we got into it, you realize that there's got to be several benefits in this and growing the crop, and so red tape be damned. Let's go get on with it, and well, if we have to jump through hoops, we'll jump through them, and not necessarily willingly, but certainly we'll have a crack at trying to get the easy way through. But there doesn't seem to be too much of it right now.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
What can you use it for? It's pretty versatile, from what I understand.
Yes, traditionally it was used for hemp cloth and paper and rope. Now with the new technologies and so on, we've got lots of uses: fiberboard and composite lumbers and plastics, and from the seeds, of course, you get oil and fuels and food and seed cake and all sorts of stuff. The possibilities seem to be endless.
Is there any part of the plant that is not usable in some way?
Well, I don't know. Well, they've been using the leaves for a long time, so I guess that would pretty well say that everything's usable. We want to use the stems and well, just basically the stems is what we want to use, and separate the fiber from the stalk, and that would mean that every bit of the plant is usable. As a matter of fact, it's too bad we can't use the leaves on this stuff, because the people selling that stuff are making a lot more money than we will.
Yeah, saying that to Dan when you were gone. If this was that stuff, you'd be a very rich man.
It'd be kind of nice, yeah.
Now Barry tells me you're something of a historian on hemp. What was it like in its heyday?
Well, its heyday was probably in the early 1900s, I would think. Before that, it was always quite popular because it was so versatile, so useful, and it was being so strong. It was good cloth for linens, for clothing, for all sorts of things. All the Europeans up until about in the early 1900s, they grew European farmers, that is, grew about a quarter acre of hemp, and used it for their own purposes, for making cloth. That may have been sort of the heyday, but if you go back farther yet, there was when the British and the French had colonies over here, they grew hemp because they needed it for their sails, for making sails, and for making rope, which is important for their navies. That could have been another heyday, and maybe in the Second World War, there was the Japanese had taken over the Philippines, where a lot of the North Americans were getting their resources for cloth and rope and so on, they sort of turned the thing around after it had been illegal for a few years. Turned the thing around, licensed it, and had pretty good crops during the war. But of course, every crop is good during the war because it's always a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, really, really. Do you think it is possible then to get hemp, not cannabis, but hemp accepted as a bona fide crop and develop an industry? Oh,
I think so. I have no doubts about that. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle, and I think that will eventually the people will accept it. As a matter of fact, a lot of people have accepted it already. I think there have been a lot of converts in the meantime. And you just have to sort of take a look at the number of items in clothing and so on that have been produced in the last little while. I would suspect that we'll always have the doubters, but they're once the sort of weight shifts over to the side of accepting hemp, I think that it won't create a problem anymore. One of the things that will have to be continued, I think, is a licensing program to just make sure that the stuff is within the legal bounds.
Oh, that THC content.
The THC count is low enough, yes, right.
Is there anything other than the THC that distinguishes this from cannabis?
Well, not not being around when I was around, but it was sort of kept secret from me because I was one of the old guys, and people weren't interested in letting me see it. But if you take a look at this, apparently, and you take a look at a regular marijuana plant, if the regular marijuana plant was grown like this, then it would have the same sort of configuration. But I guess in order to get potent enough marijuana out of it, they have to grow it with a little bit more space. It develops more leaves and more buds and rosin and all that sort of stuff. So you can tell by looking at it that this is definitely fiber hemp. You can just tell by the thickness of the stalks, the density of the stalks, and so on. Whereas if it was grown for marijuana, there'd be something like in the foreground here where all the seeds didn't take. And even this is not really a marijuana-looking plant, I don't think.
Not quite bushy enough.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What do you say to people? I mean, there have to be people who know that. Oh, gee, there's that Joe guy. He's growing weed. What do you say to people who have that?
There's no use fighting it because I get ribbed about this a lot of times. You know, I'm called the marijuana man, and there's the guy that grows the funny stuff and all this sort of stuff. I have requests like somebody coming up to me and saying, "Can I have the first 100 feet of rope cut into 4-inch pieces so you can smoke it," and all that sort of thing. Well, it's all good fun, really, and I don't mind that. I guess it's the people that are against this stuff because they relate it to marijuana, period, and they're the ones that can make it tough, and I suspect that eventually they'll concede.
Why? Why do you think they'll?
Well, economically, I think it's going to be a help. Ecologically, it's going to be a definite help. There's no question about that. It'll relieve the pressure on the forests. Could relieve the pressure on oil production. It could relieve the pressure on plastics, which comes from oil also. It could help food. There's enough things there that can be a benefit that people should, once they see that it's true, I think they'll accept it, and sort of the other will just sort of fade in the background. I don't know what will happen in terms of people that are making the actual marijuana, but we haven't considered that issue so far as we're concerned.
What about the actual cultivation of the crop? What do you do? I mean, does it take a lot of care?
Well, at the beginning, it doesn't take very much care at all. It's probably easier to grow than wheat or corn or beans, really. It doesn't. So far, it doesn't require a herbicide or pesticide, which is a real plus. We have to use fertilizer because, and think in this kind of soil because it's been depleted a bit. And whether we can build it up high enough so that we don't have to use it or not remains to be seen. The root, like we grew this same field last year, and we think that the roots have done something to the soil, maybe to aerate it or something of that sort, so that it improves the growth of the plant. We're not fully aware of what's happening there, what has happened, but that's another plus in its favor. And of course, if we get into the fiberboard business and all the other, then just this is plus after plus.
How long do you think it'll be before
they accept it?
Happens, yeah.
I don't know. We've got a lot of acceptance now. I think one of the difficult thing is in the area of converting this to products. We can grow it. We've proven that. The conversion is another matter because the people who do the manufacturing and so on are pretty well tied up with what they've been doing for years, and it's only a few sort of either curious people or people who realize that this is going to be an ecological assist. They're the ones that we'll come across, but they're very few and far between, and sometimes they're so far away that it's almost impossible. Well, it is impossible to really work with them. It'd be kind of nice if I could put a plug in for, say, people in southern Ontario who are interested in making fiberboard or have fiberboard plants or know fiberboard plants and small, especially the medium-sized ones, not the big ones, and maybe a paper plant, small or medium-sized paper plant. Any of those, if anybody hears about this and is interested in applying some of this stuff in their mills, I think we could really take off.
What happens to it now once you harvest it?
Well, we hunt around for people that will experiment with it. It's we ship stuff as far away as the west coast of the United States, so it's that's expensive so far as traveling is concerned, or transport. But we have to go where the people will do something with it, and that's where we ended up with in one of our projects.
Boy.
Mm-hmm.
You were there. What am I not asking? How have you been going?
This is the second year.
Second year. That's what I thought. Yeah.
I'm rolling now.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what did you have to do to ensure the security of your crop?
Well, if you take a look around, you'll see there's corn all around us. It's and the corn in these years, in the last couple of years, has been particularly high. Well, so far it's been planted about a month earlier than the hemp, so it stayed well ahead of the hemp. But it provides a pretty good sort of fortress for it. We have one entrance over here, which some local curiosity people come in, but I don't know whether we have any other people coming in other than that. It's pretty hard to try and keep something as secret as we want to keep it, and everybody, and of course everybody knows where the farm is, and so we're trying to rely on their goodwill and their good common sense to leave us get this thing off the ground. We have some incidents that create a little bit of difficulty, but so far it hasn't been too serious.